Hey guys, here we are for Chapter 9, Section 2, Why Should We Care? Why should we care about species extinctions? All right, reasons to avoid hastening the extinctions of wild species are as follows. So here are some of the reasons why, if you can't come up with your own. Well, number one, they provide a valuable ecosystem and an economic service. Once again, especially some of these keystone species, they're keeping the whole thing sort of going for that area. Without them, it's going to change drastically. Change is usually hard. It can take millions of years for nature to recover from a large-scale extinction. Eventually, things fill in that niche, but it can be pretty rough going in the long time before nature sort of works itself back out to recover from these extinctions of species. And of course, a lot of people believe that animals and other species simply have a right to exist, regardless of their usefulness. I don't really have to be able to point out how this particular bird benefits your life for it to really have a right to exist as well. Many people believe species have just as much right to exist on the planet as we do, some of the ones. Let's look at the orangutan, if you will. Species tend to be a vital part of this natural capital that we have. Well, the orangutan. There's only about 120,000 of them left in the wild. Mainly, the tropical forest areas that they live in are being cleared to grow palm oil. Palm oil is what you and I are buying to consume, so it makes it a commodity. So people want to grow more palm oil so they can sell the palm oil. And they're clearing out the forest to plant, instead of what normally grows there, just acres and acres of palm oil plants. Also, the orangutans are illegally smuggled and sold. They're worth money on the black market, whether it's going to a zoo or for any other purposes. Now, the orangutans have one of the lowest birth rate of all animals. They take a while to become sexually mature, and when they do, they tend to only have one offspring about every 8 years. It's one of the longest in nature because they raise it for a while before having another. So the simple fact that they have such a long time between births, they have a very low fertility rate, if you will. So the odds of them being able to rebound quickly, not very high. And they may well disappear within the next 20 years or so without some very urgent protective reaction, where they tend to live in these areas of Indonesia. Now, there are certain things that species do. Once again, why should we care? Multiple reasons. Well, even if you're like, well, if it's been their time and we need space, so they're gone and you're okay with it from an ethics standpoint, there's some other reasons to really look at. Number one, a lot of species provide vital ecosystem services like pollination, pest control, oxygen production, and water purification. Without some of these ecological services, you and I really can't survive, or we can't survive in the way life as we now know it exists. It becomes very, very difficult. Some of them provide very vital ecosystem services. When one species becomes extinct, it affects others, especially if they're keystone species. And unfortunately, a lot of times we don't know the importance of an organism's role in the ecosystem until it's gone. Many plants and animals actually provide very important economic services. For instance, they're food crops. They're wood for fuel. Get them the paper that we get from trees. They're actually important because of the ecotourism. So you're in an area, we live in Florida, we know what tourism means. It's a lot of dollars coming in for whether you own a hotel, you need the people to come in, you have a restaurant, or you just exist off of the nice benefit of the taxes of tourist dollars. We understand what tourist dollars can mean for an economy. And many people come to areas specifically to see the plants and the animals that are there. People come, oh, look at the palm trees, it's so pretty. It's a benefit. Also for bioprospectors. What the heck is a bioprospector? Well, this is somebody who goes out into the world, into nature, and they look for species specifically that can be used to make medicinal drugs. Most of our drugs come from plants at some point in time. Now, once we find it in the plant and find out exactly what it is in the plant, a lot of times then we can synthesize it, make it ourselves. But we don't know it exists until we find it in the plant. Especially when we used to go to native tribes or etc. They would use this, have them eat this plant, have them do that. We learned a lot of our medicines like aspirins have been synthesized from plant sources. We've only looked at maybe 1% of the total plants out there for their medicinal qualities. And this is what a BioProspector does. They're looking at plants for what are their potential medicinal benefits. And also, extinction can hinder specialization. Once again, the creation of new species actually can be hindered by an extinction rate. And also, just many people do believe that species have an intrinsic right to exist. So which species should we protect and which ones do we not? Because it comes down to a matter of resources. And a lot of times we try and protect those that we either see, know, like, enjoy, etc. I'm going to throw a picture up here just to look at a few of these plants as a bioprospector. This is a job. This is something you could go into if you like to be out in the field, etc. The blood pressure medicine comes from this Ravelifa, whatever. We find this in Southeast Asia. It's used in medicines to treat anxiety, high blood pressure, etc. The foxglove is medicine that's used for digitalis with heart medicines. The Pacific yew is extracted and we use it to treat for ovarian cancer. The Sinahona plant, kind of right there in the middle at the bottom, this is where we get quinine from. This has been our classic malaria treatment for a century. The rosy periwinkle, we treat Hodgkin's disease and we also treat leukemia with it. And then the neem tree is a treatment of a lot of different diseases. It's also used in the development of many insecticides and even spermicides. So in some birth control aspects, the neem tree winds up being pretty important. I actually use neem oil on some of my rose plants too, as a natural based, if you will, insecticide. But just a handful of plants that we use them for a lot of different qualities, medicine and other things. All right. That pretty much wraps it up. It's a pretty nice short one for why do we care about the species. Come back next time. It'll be a little bit longer, but for section 9.3, we're going to look specifically at humans and species extinctions, what we're doing to cause it. That's it for now. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.